Lucas from iExplore here. Today we're going to do some street photography in Ginza with the Nikon 35mm 1.2S. So let's get on to it.
iExplore.
So we're just going to go across this nice big crossing here. And I'm going to try to get some quick kind of off-the-cuff shots of people as they cross, if I can see somebody interesting. Yep. Yeah, then let's go over here. I'm going to try shooting in front of this entrance to this shopping mall. I want to try to get, I've had an idea of trying to get like people through this glass here, but then also, what do you call it? Like, you know, the reflections on this side and the textures and whatnot. But, you know, I need some people. I need somebody over there. There's this guy here. Oh, there we go. And I wanted this like vague, abstract kind of view of a person in there with the city reflecting. This seems interesting with the vague silhouette there. f2.8. We could try this on f1.2 to get more of a blur, of course. Interesting. Anybody else? Not right now, but we'll wait a little bit. Now, actually, on the topic of waiting, I kind of don't wait so much anymore. I used to be more patient with photos, but I realized I get a little more frustrated waiting for a person to walk by, unless I really feel that there's something interesting. Or let me put it this way: if I don't really need a specific person, like this is actually a great example because I don't need a specific person. I just need the vague kind of impression of a person. So pretty much anyone will do. But sometimes I'm in a different scene where I'm waiting, you know, where it's more obvious, like we can more clearly see the people walking by, and then I'll be waiting for like a particular person to walk by. I'm not even sure necessarily who I'm looking for, but like they need to be interesting. The person themselves need to be interesting for the scene to work, right? Whereas here it's just like, again, not literally anybody, but pretty much anybody's gonna work because I just need this like, you know, vague impression of a person, as I already mentioned. See, like right there, that might be okay. You know, maybe I could wait for somebody else. So I still need to wait a bit, but I'm not as picky as when it's like when you can clearly see the person. And I'm generally, you know, moving away myself, just I guess out of just pure frustration from a kind of, you know, fishing style of shooting where I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. You know, I generally prefer, here we go, nice splash of color. That was cool. I generally prefer to be much more spontaneous in my photography, meaning walking around and shooting. So I'm not doing that right now. I'm being a little bit patient, but that was pretty cool. And so, like, no offense to those people who we just shot, but like, if I just shot them directly, if it wasn't through this, you know, piece of glass, none of those photos would have been that interesting. They would have just been like very normal, random people. And that's what I'm trying to say. If I'm waiting for a particular person, I kind of don't like that anymore. I'd much rather walk around and just kind of hunt for that and let it spontaneously happen, which is what I mainly want to do today, but we're going to get to that. I want to start with a few things closer to around here that are a little bit more patience-oriented. I think I got something pretty good there. Let's keep going. Let's try something over here as well. This is another spot where it's going to require some patience, but I don't want to waste too much time on it. And so basically that's what it is that I don't like the idea of just standing around. I prefer this more spontaneous kind of shooting, which I just feel, but is more like up my alley these days. But in the same time, it's really, really challenging. I feel like waiting requires patience, but as long as you have patience, you can get a good shot that way, right? Because you can think about your framing, have a lot of time, and then when the right person comes along, you get the shot. Now let me see here. Is there somebody else coming? There's a lady there, but again, sadly, not the highest traffic day today. Would have loved to shoot this yesterday on Sunday, but didn't have time, so we're here on a Monday. Ooh, that was kind of okay. There's convergence of two people. Oh, this guy's better. Nice, not bad. I don't know. Wow, I just noticed something interesting happens over here. Okay, just discovered something about this spot. I've shot this once before. Different day, different camera, everything different. I kind of worked the scene that day, but I just noticed something today that's very interesting. There's like a reflection happening here, that I didn't catch before. Okay. See, I keep peeking down there just to see who's coming. Oh, here we go. This guy might be good. Nice. Oh, this is tricky. I mean, I'm getting what I was looking for, but this is a good example of my frustration with this kind of waiting strategy, because in this shot, compared to the one before, now we can clearly see the people, like see their faces, you can see, who they are a little bit, and you really need them to do something interesting. You need to wait for a great gesture, the right kind of look, right? It can't just be like, I mean, maybe, it's not a bad photo if you just get just any old random person, but it's kind of been there, done that for me, right? So a lot of these people are just, and again, I'm not throwing shade at the people. I do the same thing, but they're just like normal people who are going up the stairs, they're looking at the phones. There isn't really a magic moment. There's nothing decisive about this. It's just like people walking by, and at that point, it becomes a very commonplace shot. Although the scene I find very interesting with all these lines and reflections and lights and whatnot, but the actual moment is just not there. And this is what I'm getting at. I find this very frustrating kind of shooting for me. I don't like it anymore so much. I used to be much more patient with these things. A lot of people all of a sudden, maybe there's a chance for somebody cool doing something interesting. I realized maybe I shouldn't be on f1.2 for this. Let's go down to f2 just to give me a little more DOF. But nonetheless, that wasn't really the problem with the shot right now. The problem was just there was nobody interesting the whole time. And there was also too many people at once, so nobody really stood out. So yeah, so the realization that this is a frustration of mine happened like a few days ago when we were shooting a different video. And then during that video, I was realizing this about myself, that like these days I just don't like waiting so much. I'm not very easily satisfied with a cool scene with just a passerby that just kind of works in the scene. I want something a little more than that. And I didn't really know how to articulate this, and during the shooting on that video, which probably will never see the light of day because it was a very disjointed mess of a video, because I didn't really know, like I said, I was coming to grasp the terms with this feeling about my photography at that moment, right? So I kind of thought about it for a few days, and I want to shoot this video to kind of get this idea out there. And so yeah, I feel like it's very difficult actually to maintain that mindset of being patient and waiting for things to just happen. And these days I much more prefer just to wander around and just be spontaneous. And when things appear right in front of me, react to them. It's just more exciting, but also, well, I mean, I guess that's what it is. It's just more exciting and more fun, right? I don't know what the also is there. That's pretty much it. Hey guys, just a quick reminder to subscribe, leave a comment, like the video. That really does help us out. Also, if you'd like to support us, you can support us on Patreon, or if you come to Tokyo, book a workshop. We also have a map of Tokyo photo spots. And if you want to help me out, there's also links to like my prints and a photo book and all that good stuff. Let's get back to the video. So all that talk about spontaneity and shooting these more like off the cuff sort of shots also explains why I've really gravitated towards, primes with really big apertures, and then this like, maybe it's kind of a chicken and egg thing. I don't know what came first, but because the gear has gotten better at shooting really fast, and I'm getting more interested in it, I appreciate this kind of gear more. I'm not saying you need a 1.2 lens. Again, I mentioned in the previous video we did on this lens, I loaned this, so I'm gonna give it back. So this is not my lens. I'm just using it because I have a chance, I might as well use it. But even a 35 1.4, or even better, the old F-mount 28 1.4, I love that lens. It's great for this kind of shooting because 28 is fairly wide, so you can get pretty close to people. See, like there, that gentleman is a little bit too close eventually. I think I got him. But I feel like there wasn't enough context. Anyway, that was not a great background. But that kind of photography is what I'm more excited about these days. It's much more fun for me. Again, spontaneous. He just appeared, I reacted, I shot it. It was a bad photo. That's fine. There'll be another chance and maybe I'll get a good photo that time, right? But I find it more exciting. But the thing is, as I just alluded to, these photos are often kind of bad. Like it's a very hit or miss style of photography. Whereas waiting, if you wait long enough, eventually the good things will come. And so that's another thing I'm sort of thinking about, like, well, what changed for me? Like, I just alluded to, well, the gear's a little bit different. But I used to do this more kind of spontaneous style of shooting when I had a manual focus lens with zone focusing, right? It was a little more limited that way, but it still worked really well. Yeah, so I think the frustration that I find in the more general terms, because I'm sort of using this, or pitting this like, oh, I'm tired of this kind of fishing style, waiting style of photography, it's frustrating. That's not really the frustration. The frustration is that I'm a little bit bored with my own photos. See, that's the real deal. That the photos where I'm just waiting for somebody to walk by and okay, there's a person in the background, as I alluded to, it's kind of like been there, done that. Well, there's another word for that, and it's boredom. Actually, I might shoot something here real quick, just to totally derail my thought. There's a reflection of a lady, yeah, but she's just looking at her phone. I don't know. But wait, with the mannequins on the other side, now it's kind of interesting. Can I get them both in frame? I hope I'm not going to walk into somebody. Okay, that's not bad. There's the mannequins on the left, and then the real lady's reflecting on the right. Needs a bit of a crop, but that might be somewhat interesting. Anyway, so yeah, and then this idea that, you know, been there, done that kind of things. And, you know, of course, I've been shooting in Tokyo for like 15 years. So how many more things can I shoot? You know, how much more can I go to the same spot again and again and again and shoot the same things? But the people are always different, which is why I'm, again, realizing that I'm gravitating more to this kind of spontaneous, people-centric photography where I'm just cruising along, and if I see interesting people, I would shoot them. I guess this is not too different from the kind of things that like Bruce Gilden was doing way back in the day. Way better than I'm doing it, so I'm not comparing myself, but just saying that kind of vein in photography. And I like to do it the way I'm doing it, without a flash, because I don't know, I'm maybe not at the level where I'm like mentally ready to just use a flash right in people's faces on the street. Not my jam. Not to say there's anything wrong with that, it's just not what I'm doing. So let's linger here. Actually, I'm going to try some reflections on the glass over here. So let's see if we can get some people with the glass, or even just people walking by. Well, I'm going to try it this way. Along here, it'd be nice to get like people popping out from around the corner. Yeah, let's see. I really want somebody interesting here. That would be cool. Yeah, okay, I'm actually doing this like not symmetrically on purpose. I think that's kind of interesting. But then the people inside are not great. It's just like tourists taking photos with their phones, which is not exciting. But I would love to get sort of this double exposure effect where I get the person outside, I get the reflection, but then in the reflection there's also like a second person. Okay. Crossings are always nice because there's, you know, a mass of people accumulates on either side, and then everybody comes together and people have to just naturally face each other. That's a good chance to potentially get an interesting person. Let's go this way because the light's good. So the idea of shooting, like, you know, these kind of spontaneous portraits of people on the street is, of course, absolutely nothing new, and it's not even necessarily new to me. But I think this is where I've pinpointed like why I'm like bored with my work and also frustrated with the stuff I'm trying to do. And that's because it's often just not working out. It's a very hard kind of photography, and you get a lot of boring photos, or, you know, the moment was good but the focus was off, or whatever, what have you, right? So in the same time, I'm kind of not interested in the more reliable photos, which is like the waiting, you know, kind of, you know, fishing style photos. But the hunting style photos, at least the way I'm doing them right now, are difficult, very, very difficult. I'm struggling with it a little bit. So a long time ago, we did this video about like mindfulness and flow, this idea of flow, which is this kind of psychological concept where if you're doing something where your skill level and the challenge level of something kind of meet just right, then you're gonna be in a state of flow. You're gonna feel it's gonna kind of like autopilot. You're just gonna do stuff, and the hours will just pass. But if something is too challenging and too frustrating, well, I mean, then it will feel frustrating. That's the thing. If it's too challenging, it'll feel frustrating. And maybe that's what it is. Like, I'm kind of on the edge of my abilities for this kind of photography, or at least these days. Or I'm just don't have enough time to really put my mind to it. I'm just shooting once in a while. I don't know what it is, but there's more frustration. I think that's where it comes from. And that's what I came to realize since shooting that last video, which was kind of a dud, and now being here today in Ginza. But knowing this idea that the frustration kind of stems from, you know, from the challenge or the difficulty of this style of photography, that kind of puts my mind at ease a little bit, which is nice. I think it's an important thing to think about. Let's go that way, back on the main street again. It's nice and crowded. We'll do some more of these kind of spontaneous street portraits. Actually, how's it look in the other direction? Maybe it's more busy that way. We'll cross and then go back in the other direction when the time is appropriate. You know, I think that's a good summary for like everything I'm talking about. Basically, is that sometimes you got to struggle with a lot of failure. There's a lot of mistakes, and you try something, even if it's not necessarily new, but you just try stuff, and it doesn't work out. And then you take a lot of bad pictures, or whatever it is you're working on. There's a lot of failure, and then that leads to frustration. It's just like, then you feel like, man, what am I doing? Is this even the right thing? What's going on? Right? Should I just, give up on this? Let's try to get a shot of this guy chilling here on his phone in kind of a cool spot along the car here. He's not bad. He kind of put his phone down and looked away. Just before crossing, there's a quick shot we can do here. Unrelated to street photography, but it's still cool. The dancing building up there, as it's nicknamed, looks really cool in between these other two. That's a really nice framing. I like that. I'm just trying a lot of different angles there. I'm doing like this way, that way, just to find the the angle that works. That was cool. I'm quite happy with that. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my high-speed, wide-open street settings that I've been using. That's the other thing. Like those classic, great photographers. Again, not comparing myself and not criticizing them. Just pointing it out. Like Bruce Gilden, they were not shooting wide open. They were shooting on like f8. And then getting very close, right? So you get a lot of DOF. I mean, relatively a lot of DOF. And I'm trying to do this on like f1.2, f1.4. I don't know why. I just feel like it'll look cool. I want to have this more dreamy, cinematic kind of feel to it. Maybe it's going to be all crap. But again, that's the thing. That's where the frustration stems from, is that there has been a lot of crap. I've shot a lot of crap recently. I'd say the last few months, it's been a lot of crap. In general, I mean, I think any kind of art form, but photography as well, it's like a journey where you discover a little bit more about yourself than you do about the world. It's both, right? But it's a self-discovery thing. You figure out like what's interesting, what works for you, what's not, what works for, what makes sense for your kind of sensibilities or values or whatever it might be, right? And sometimes that journey, like any journey, you get on a very rocky path. You lose the path. You're like, you're like a nice normal path, everything's clear, but then sometimes you end up in the woods, you don't even know where you're going, you're stumbling over stuff. That's the metaphor, right? I feel like that's where I am these days. I haven't been in a stumbling, falling over myself part of this path in a long time, and I think that's what it is that there was always a lot of clarity, and these days it's kind of all over the place. And yeah, I don't know why I'm attracted to these kind of chaotic, street scenes with lots of people and like lots of stuff going on all at once like this. It's very, like I said, very hit or miss, but I don't know, I just enjoy it. There's something about it. I'm trying to capture that kind of intensity of the street, right? People walking along, doing their thing. And you could argue that is also just like people walking and nothing really happening. But I don't know. Every once in a while I get something interesting this way. Wow, that's a new facade for this building. That's cool. That's cool. That guy was cool in the sunglasses. I think maybe I got something in focus there. Kind of botched the focus there. Oh well, this is what I mean. Hit or miss. That's okay. Just got to live with the failures. Nobody really came. Not too many people from that direction. Oh well. Got that guy running. All right, guys, so there you have it. Some frustrating, spontaneous street photography here in Ginza. Maybe I got some good shots. I don't know. You have seen them by now. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings. I'll catch you guys in the next one. And remember, always challenge your eye. Oh, you're still here. Well, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. That really helps us out, with the algorithm. But since you're here, I want to remind you guys the different ways you can support this channel. The best one being coming to Tokyo or Kyoto and taking a workshop with us, or me or one of the other guys on the team. That's a huge help. Of course, we have some other things that we offer. For example, you can purchase a map of Tokyo photo spots. Currently, there are over 500 locations on the map, useful for planning your trip in Tokyo or exploring the city. Also, I do have a book out called Tokyo Unseen, so please check that out. And I do sell prints, so if you'd like one of my photos as a print, check that out as well. But last but not least, there is Patreon. Those of you who support us on Patreon, we're extremely grateful, and anybody who's thinking about it, we'd really appreciate that. That is another way to get access to the PhotoSpot map. All right. And last little tiny thing, there are referral links to all the gear and stuff that we use in the videos, so just clicking on those links helps us out as well. And of course, all the other things I mentioned are also linked in the description. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching to the end, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.